You can move that microphone to squeeze it over in front of you there. Welcome to the Neighborhood Pulse, the show that's all about real estate from real estate professionals. Of course, today's show brought to you through the financial support of Kevin Colbeck and our good friends over at
Realty Executives Cornerstone. Give us a call, 815-321-4250. Love to hear from you. And we've got right here next to me my partner in crime,
Eduardo Martinez. Also being brought to you from our good friends over at MSB Mortgage. So MSB Mortgage. And Eddie, what is your NMLS number? And holy God, what's going on?
It is 437-138, NMLS number.
For all that is good and holy. Check them out. If people want to know about what you do, how you do it, how do you get that, how do they get in touch with you?
Yes, they can always call me at 815-331-6428 or online through an email, emartinez@mchenrysavings.com. Let's pick this up. Huh?
So yeah, for all of you out there listening, we're laughing because the sleigh, the Christmas sleigh, got run off the
rails.
The rails there.
The rails,
Absolutely, Kevin. Welcome back. Of course, you were out in California for a week. To Vegas, you've been on the run.
Great. Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
I tell you what, down in San Diego, we had the National Association of Realtors Convention. There is so much to learn, so much to do, so much. Real estate is just a ginormous group of people working together, collaborating.
Yeah.
To best serve their clients. Really, essentially, that's why people go.
Yeah.
They don't go there because they're being selfish or they're trying to climb over the next guy. They're just trying to be better at what they do, and there's so much to do out there to improve our services for our clients, and that's why we're there too, is to figure out what that is, and we pick out people to work with that. Referral partners and stuff like that across the globe. So if you ever need real estate anywhere, give your local realtor a call, and they'll help you out, hook you up with a professional somewhere close
Absolutely.
to where you're going.
Absolutely. So what was the biggest takeaway?
Is we went to a concert. That was good.
Had a blast.
Well, I'll tell you, growth, and overcoming was kind of the theme this year. It was kind of shine. Shine was the name of it, and shine above all else. The pandemic has been brutal on so many people and has touched so many lives that we are just trying to rise and shine above that and work together, collaborate, and bring the best resources. And talked about iBuyers, buying real estate without ever seeing it.
Oh, a lot of that's happening.
A lot of that is happening, which is kind of fantastic. Learn that real estate is growing exponentially. Rates are great for buying homes. Money's cheap these days, and the inventory is very low across the United States.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk about that, right? I mean, the pandemic really created and turned the real estate business for both of you guys on its ear. I mean,
sure.
Eddie, your job, the lender, was all about, hey, let's meet at my office, let's gather all this information, a lot of touching, directly with the client. And in 2020, that turned. How have you been able to maintain, the good business that you do and the great reviews that you have with that change?
That's a fair question. The key word I think here is change. You got to change with time. So right now the way to do business is more online. Zoom meetings, texting back and forth, emailing heavily, but always like you mentioned, Ken, staying on top of things, making sure you have that touch. It might not be in person like we're accustomed to as business people, but now we gotta kind of change with those times and adapt to the new medias of how to connect with people, whether it's over the phone, via the internet. So there's methods out there, and it's just learning to navigate through those systems. What have you seen in your experience, Kevin?
That was a big conversation down in San Diego, was how do you communicate in times like these, because you're not meeting people face to face? How do you still make it a great transaction and feel like they've gotten that personal touch without actually having that physical touch, right? So we're sending, gift cards, we're sending letters. I think the handwritten note is coming back, kind of just sending out, because it's a lost art, but don't write it in cursive, because anybody under the age of whatever can't read it.
I did not say that.
They got to bring it to their parents and be like, "Can you read this to me?" I had my daughter do that. She's like,
there's probably an app on the phone that can.
Maybe there might.
They'll probably take a picture.
It's $1 million idea right there.
Patented by 2169.
That's
Well,
right.
and Kevin, now you've been in the industry for many years. Did you ever think it would get to the point where it's sight unseen? Just go and take them through a virtual walkthrough,
Right, yeah.
and then they go,
be,
I love it. Let's go with it.
Right.
Did you ever think that?
We think about before the internet hit the scene, right?
Right.
People would come in. I mean, the office. We used to have a thing called floor time, and people would fight over this floor
remember
time.
that,
You'd sit in the office. Anybody that called or walked in during your time in that
Sure.
desk, that was your client. You got to work with them, talk to them, see if you could fit their needs, right? And there wasn't really the internet. There was the green and black screen.
Right.
I forget the CRMs and such, or what do they call that? Monochrome.
Yeah, the monochrome.
And we had this big thing that
dot
looked like
matrix.
a phone
Apple
book.
One.
Yeah, right. Apple One.
We had a big phone book you would open up,
Right.
and they'd have these, pictures 2x2, and you'd say, "What do you think of that one?" They'd be like, "Oh, that's beautiful." You'd be like, "All right, let's go take a look at it." You had to know your inventory. You had to know what was going on in your neighborhood, right? The neighborhood pulse was important. And now it's grown, it's changed, right?
Different way of tracking, different way of
Right.
looking what's available, what's not, what's pending.
Right.
I could definitely see that.
And agents in the time
Wow.
saying, "That's never going to work." We've been doing it this way for 20 years. Well, I'll tell you what, it's changed.
Yeah.
It's changed, and the pandemic has exponentially made that change so fast. It's just crazy.
Right.
Some of the biggest changes we've seen is how we communicate with each other.
Right.
We're talking by phone, we're talking by text messaging and
Right.
Zoom meetings as well. We're not getting together as much either to protect ourselves, our
Right.
families, our business, and our clients. Because if we're out schmoozing with everybody,
Right.
it's kind of like an STD, right? Never disregard that.
Short-term disability.
Short-term
there you go.
disability,
Right,
yes,
right.
absolutely. But whoever you've been with, they're with, right?
And,
So you're
and I
exposed
agree
to.
because I think the newer generation of people that are looking to buy homes have been heavily on the media ways of connecting with each other, heavily on text.
Oh yeah.
Even through other medias as well. Even email is even more impactful now than it was before.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we just gotta just go with that flow and still try and make that touch to make it a special transaction as well.
Right.
How do you build that? I mean, how do you build that relationship when now, people love to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And, it's one thing for me to show up to your office, Eddie, and, it's a fancy office, to see your awards and see all of your degrees hanging on the wall and, lender of the year this and, Kevin, same thing, producer of the year that. And now I'm just like,
Right.
you know what I mean? I don't know who you are. I can't see all those things.
So I think what really matters that still hasn't changed regardless of the pandemic or not is you still have that initial first call with them, and that's where you need to establish rapport, let them know if this is something that you're serious about, let's do business and keep it professional and make sure that you hold them accountable as much as they're holding you accountable and telling them that we work for you. We're on your time, so the faster you can work with us and get this done, the faster we can make those goals a reality.
Sure.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. It's buying a home we do have the iBuyers, and we do work with some people that are across the globe buying homes. But a majority of people that we're selling homes to, we're still meeting. We're showing the homes to,
Yeah.
so we're able to still have that personal connection. And maybe we're not having that lengthy sit down, but we're asking questions like, in a questionnaire, we're asking them, hey, what's your favorite candy bar? What's your favorite cookie? What's your favorite soft drink? What's your favorite place to eat? And when we get to certain points of the transaction, we send a little gift card. Hey, you know what? Snickers is their favorite, so we'll send them a little Snickers in the mail. You know, here's a Snickers, here's a treat. You got to prove for your loan. Here's a Snickers. We got past AI. Here's a little gift card. Have some dinner. Have some.
Here's a pack of Marlboro Reds.
A pack of Marlboro Reds. That's right. That's right. Here's some chew. Some chew is good.
Well, and I find it interesting. Now, I have the unique opportunity to be working with both of you currently.
Correct.
On the purchase of my new home.
Right.
Right. And I find it just fascinating how both of you have been able to walk us through each step of the process, and not just me, but my wife especially.
Yeah, right.
And I think that it's very unique that communication, perhaps when it was just a one-on, like if I stopped by, oh, hey,
Right.
and then, well, take that home and tell your wife, right? But now, I'm hearing from Alice, well, Eddie reached out and just checked in and let us know we're at this point, at the loan. Let us know that we're, this cleared and we're here. Kevin called and just checking in to see how packing's going or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, those idiots didn't call me, right? But I think that the way you guys approach your business in that all-inclusive piece is huge. And it has been, this process has been just wonderful for me and my family. We just asked you, Kevin, the other day to do something out of the ordinary that doesn't normally happen.
Right. Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is our kids, we still have a couple girls at home, hadn't gone with us to look at this house before we put an offer in on it. And they wanted to see it and measure some things for their room and start dreaming that way. And you made it happen, which I was like, Alice brought up. I'm like, well, just understand it'll probably be the final walkthrough. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you reached out to the couple that are selling a house, and wow.
Yeah, they were receptive, and it helps when you have a good agent on the other side.
Yeah.
And Lisa Jensen's a top
awesome.
producer, and she's a people person, and she understands the stresses of buying and selling and doing all this stuff, right? So it's kind of one of those things where she was able to get that done for us, and it was great. It was great to see everybody kind of just light up and start looking at where they're going to be at and jumping around and getting excited. And I tell you what, this is probably one of the best careers you could have. I mean, besides maybe a first responder.
Truly making dreams come true.
Making dreams come true, buying and selling homes, getting financed, and
absolutely.
Some people have hiccups in life, and we help them get past those hiccups. You more than me.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you figure out those puzzles of how the financing is going to work.
That's what it feels like. Just it's a new puzzle, and not each one's the same.
Yeah.
You're always going to come across different challenges, and it's just about approaching it, letting them know as soon as possible where we're at. Sometimes it's out of our control, and just communicate that as soon as possible to allow those delays to not kind of sink in and make it seem like you're doing something that you messed up and it's more out of your control. But there's always ways to fix it, and you do your best.
And you're like one of those guys that the Rubik Cube can cure it in like 10 seconds.
Right.
I still can't do it. I got to peel them apart, peel stickers off.
You and I have been trying since the 70s when it came out, and I still haven't figured it out.
I tried when I saw, I think it's Stand Deliver or something. He's doing it. I'm like, no.
That's right. Not happening.
So of course you're listening to 21.6 The Net. This is the Neighborhood Pulse, because no matter where you are in life, you always remember your neighborhood.
Amen.
It's the real estate show here at 21.6 The Net, brought to you, of course, with Kevin Callback. And Kevin, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, wants to list a house, wants to buy a house, maybe even wants to be get into the real estate business as a buyer's agent.
Yep, looking for a buyer's agent. Always looking for somebody good in the business to mentor.
Yep.
But give us a call at 815-321-4250. You'll probably get my assistant Cheyenne, who's amazing. But if not, you'll get me directly. And we look forward to talking to anybody.
Absolutely. And Eddie, also you, if somebody needs to get a mortgage, maybe refinance a house, do a home equity line of credit, anything of that nature, how do they get in touch with you?
Yes, my direct number is 815-331-6428, NMLS number 437138, or you can email me at eatmartinez@mchenrysavings.com.
Nice.
and they both work. I've tried those communication minutes, and they work.
Yeah, right.
That's right. That's
All
great.
right. So as somebody who's a little weary, I've thought of maybe listing my house, and this is a question that's come in. However, now with all these different strains and the number of COVID cases back on the rise, I'm not sure that now is a good time to have people troopsing through my house this close to the holidays. What's your guys' take on that? What's the word?
Well, I think that the pandemic has allowed for more people to just be, I guess, at home for longer periods of times or working from home, so they're doing more research. They stumble upon low rates. It's a great time to buy, or it's a great time to sell your house. So it starts to create this movement, this idea of, hey, maybe right now might be a good time regardless of the pandemic. So you would probably think, hey, we might see a decline in applications or even movement in the market, but we've actually seen a good amount of interested people that are right now looking to achieve the goal of buying a house. What would you say on that?
I'd say that the pandemic, when it first hit, nobody knew what to expect.
Right.
We were just, everybody was shocked, that the industry was shut down. We weren't showing homes. Everything just locked down completely, right?
Yeah.
The big brakes were on. And it wound up being the busiest year most realtors have ever had, and lenders as well. Been very successful in converting buyers into homeowners and home sellers into unhomeownership.
Yeah, right.
Homeless people.
Renters.
Right, renter, right. So in some people, so there's a lot of dynamics to that. And as we look at the market and we say, okay, once it started picking back up, we started putting things in place, right? We're wearing masks, we're wearing booties,
Right.
We're using hand sanitizer, and depending on who you're working with, that could be, they could vary what measures you're taking and how severe they are. But everybody's following the protocol to make sure that everybody's safe at the end of the day. Nobody wants to get sick. Nobody wants to, be ill. And whether you believe in getting vaccinated or not vaccinated, doesn't matter. Right. We're a community of people that help each other out, and we're trying to accomplish goals in life. Right?
That was actually a question that I got from a borrower, someone who's interested in talking to me, and they asked me, "Hey, can I see houses right now if I'm not vaccinated?" Not really a question that I can answer. What would you say to that?
Absolutely. It's they're going to wear a mask. They're going to wear their booties. Depending on the house we're going, you may wear gloves. You use hand sanitizer. So it's not only for their protection, but for the homeowner. You're going into somebody else's where they live, their safe place, right? When you're at home, that you feel safe. Yeah. We want people when they're selling their home to feel that same safety, even if they're showing their home. So we make sure everybody covers follows these procedures to make sure we're all healthy at the end of the day.
Yeah, okay. And that's the interesting thing is if you're uncomfortable, you can let your realtor know.
Right.
Hey,
no,
we're fine having showings, or even open houses, but please everybody, wear masks. Please everybody wear booties. Please, right?
Yep.
Hey, good morning, Gary. Glad that you're with us, brother. Hope things are well over in Singapore.
Amen.
But you can kind of set those rules, and then your realtor, when somebody calls, they'll call Kevin and say, "Hey, we'd like to." Yep, not a problem. The owners ask that.
Blank, right? Wear booties, wear masks, use hand sanitizer,
yep.
Touch everything with wipes, things like that.
Have you had anyone object or say, "I don't want to wear a mask"? I'm just curious.
No, because if they do, we just say, well, we can't bring you into this home, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
And they understand that. I mean, it's a personal choice, just like whether how people are responding differently to the epidemic.
Different ways of thinking about
right,
it. Right,
absolutely. And if you're looking to buy or sell, well, there's a lot of people looking to buy right now. Going into the holidays, a lot of people are like, man, I got Christmas coming. I'm hosting. But we still have a lot of people looking to buy. So if you're looking to sell, now is a good time to sell. And I always tell
Great
people
time to
that
sell.
the best time to sell, you typically, now this is a different year. I mean, right now, any time is a good time to sell. But the best time is usually the end of January, beginning of February.
Yeah.
Because everybody's getting to that point. They started filing for their taxes. Refunds are coming.
They got money.
They got money. They got
Yeah.
their leases are coming to an end. And you could buy a house. Now, here, this is kind of crazy, right? So if you were to buy a house, what's today? December 3rd, 2021. You push your closing out 2 months. So January, February. So now there's no payment in February. There's
Yeah.
no payment in March. First payment's in April 1st. So you buy a house in December 3rd today. You don't make a payment till April 1st.
It better not be
So
April Fool's.
Right. But your lease is ending about that time, right?
Right.
So if your lease is ending in May, you should be buying a home next month.
Right.
If your ends in June, buy a house the month after in
Right.
February, or yeah,
Right.
February. So I got my months just 1 through 12.
Yeah, and Gary says as long as both parties are comfortable with the arrangements, it should be fine, right?
This is true. It's
Right.
again going back
Right.
to STD.
Well, and again, when it comes to real estate, I mean, you're going to you're inviting people into your home. It's fine, right? It's
Right.
fine
Sure.
because you're trying to sell it. Right?
Sure.
But the cleaner that you can keep your home during this time,
Absolutely.
the absolute better it is.
Sure.
Right, and I think when it comes to the pandemic, just know that they're going to follow the rules that you set out to come into my house,
Right.
and you're going to be fine. I think.
Right.
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 And yeah, absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
it's important to know that when you go out, you're going to be safe. And you're looking
Yeah.
in somebody else's house. The seller needs to be comfortable that they're going to be safe.
Right. So with the NAR saying that, and that's the National Association of Realtors, saying that coming up in 2022, we're going to see more sight unseen or virtual showings, and people are going to be buying homes that perhaps they haven't set foot in. What's the trick there? What does that change? How are you then walking them through, or are they just looking at it?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So you ever hear of a gimbal? Gimbals are amazing.
No.
Have you seen it? It's you guys can't see me on the radio, but
Right.
it is a contraption that has a handle on it. It's kind of like a selfie stick, except the end of it, you put your camera or phone or whatever case you're going to use for recording, and it swivels. So when I'm walking, you don't get that up and down.
Oh,
and
nice.
as you spin in a circle, you don't get that dizzy feeling because
Right.
it holds. And it can lock on a face. It can lock out in front of you.
Right.
So it's a really nice, smooth video that people
Huh.
can watch and understand, and they can record that. And they record it. They can look through it again, because we don't
Huh.
really go back 3-4 times to view it virtually usually. So it's best to record it or get good pictures or video. And if you're looking at listings, most of the agents around here are using virtual tours and things like that. So iBuyers have a really good idea of what they're looking at.
Kevin's gonna do metaverse showings.
That's right. There you go.
Right.
Those are
Yeah,
coming.
VRs.
Those are coming. Those are coming.
You never
Yes.
know.
No, they are coming. I'm telling you, they're on the way. So you'll be doing
Did
virtual
they go over any
walkthroughs.
technology or any new things going on during the convention that you went in California?
They did. I did not attend a lot of those classes. I attended more of the rules, regulations, a lot of the RPAC, different things to
Yeah.
look at. But there's a lot of technology coming out, and virtual reality is really going to be one of those.
Right.
And it's kind of crazy. And there's a number of different tools and resources people can use for virtual showings, like the gimbals and things
Right.
like that. And it's just amazing. The cameras you can buy that'll do a 360 shot that you can spin around. It's just amazing, the things that they're coming up with.
So, I'm not laughing at what Gary says. Gary says here in Singapore, it's very common for now for agents to do video walkthroughs and post it on YouTube or Facebook. And that's actually how my son bought his. He actually
Right.
bought his house sight unseen, and his realtor actually walked through the house, and
Right.
there were 3 or 4 separate videos saved to YouTube. I'm laughing at Ed's rental. That is the picture of it. It says diapers and politicians should be changed often, both for the same reason.
That's pretty funny.
That is funny. That's what I was laughing about. So that's unique. Now, is this going to change the way appraisals are done? Is this are appraisals now going to be virtual? Or what's going to happen there?
That's a good question for you.
So So, no, they can't do it.
Yeah.
In my opinion is you can't look in the electric panel unless somebody's going to open up the electric panel, take the whole panel off, and take a picture of that and then send it to them. So it's a pretty involved process, especially if you're going FHA or VA, a veteran or first time buyer FHA, which is a great loan. Both loans are great loans. They're very similar to conventional. They're just a little different. That's all. They're all great loans, and you shouldn't not take one because they're a certain type of loan, FHA or VA. You should still move forward. But the other thing is they don't have smell-o-vision yet, so you got to worry about that.
It's a big
and
thing, right?
Seeing peeling paint and some different things, safety issues that the VA and FHA and appraisers are looking for.
Right.
You're not going to be able to see in a virtual walkthrough, or could be hidden easily.
Could be very hidden.
by somebody depending on what their role is in that transaction.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe the camera. Oh, I forgot to scan that part.
And for the most
And mistakes
part,
happen too.
For the most part, appraisals are done when no one's there. So
Right.
So they have free range of looking at every little corner and whatnot. So yeah, I think it'll be very difficult to do that anytime soon, but you never know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's as an appraiser, you're licensed, I mean, much like a realtor, much like a lender. I mean, there's license and there's rules and things that they have to abide by as well, which is good. That's,
Right.
That's a good thing, folks.
Right.
Right. I think that you really have to trust. You really, really have to trust your realtor.
Yeah.
Because if I'm just hungry for a sale, and we've only met by phone, and I walk around and I've got what do you call it, a gimbal, my gimbal, and I can smell a cat turd and see a cat turd, I don't have to put the gimbal on it. I can go right over it, and all of a sudden, you buy the house, you close, you show up on moving day, and there's a pile of cat turd there, Wait a second, and it's stained this and that and the third, right? Were there surprises from my son's experience? Yeah, that the house when it was walked through was lived in at the time, right? But when that final walkthrough, then it was like, whoa, look at all the holes in the wall from this, that, you don't think of those things, because I can just take that gimbal and go, here's this room,
Right.
And scan through it very quickly.
Sure.
And things that are commonplace, like a picture or a mirror or something like that, you don't think twice of. Like,
Right.
boy, that's gonna, but when you walk through it, you're like, holy cow, look at the
And
size
hole's
of
empty, right?
yeah, holy cow, look at the size of the nail that's in that thing. That's gonna leave a
That's
hole,
it.
or,
Sure. Yeah.
you
And people are different. Expectations are
Yep.
different, right? So you got my son just bought a house, and he walks through and he goes, "Looks good."
Ha!
Now, Tom Foster, Tom, if you're listening, I love you, brother. He's very particular. Very everything has to be crisp, clean. The gutter was showing a little bit on one side of the house. He said, "We need to move this gutter, and we got to reroute it this way." They bought new construction.
Yeah.
So he says, why is that poking out here?" So totally different expectation. So if you're buying online, you have to find a realtor that maybe meets your personality as well. Because if you have a realtor that's kind of a little more loose, a little more comfortable person face to face, it might be different than somebody who is looking for that fine detail with a realtor that moves a little bit slower and is a little more explanatory. Is that a word?
Yeah.
And I think with my experience with realtors, there's also those realtors that you can tell they have knowledge about the house and the structure, and is it even, is it balanced, is there a stain that might not show in the video? Those are the things that, having trust with a good realtor,
Right.
knowing that they have some experience in all the fundamentals of a home, it goes a long way.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if knowing buildings is important. And if you're buying a house from 1900, there's going to be some wavy floors in there. That's just the way it is, folks.
We saw a few of those.
When I'm 100 years old, I'll be wavy too, right?
But the guy sitting in the house eating lunch didn't come with the house.
That's right.
Gary says, here, an official valuation can only be obtained when both buyer and seller sign and agree to a valuation price and have the option to purchase approved. So cash over valuation is illegal and
Really?
banned.
Wow.
So yeah, very interesting.
Amen.
Purpose of evaluation is purely for housing loan reasons only. So. So it's like here, especially in 2020,
Yeah.
2021, we saw a lot of, nope, we're going to skip the appraisal, cash deal, in, out,
Yep.
close fast, let's
Yep.
go.
Yep. Or people were waiving their appraisal.
Yeah.
We had official forms that popped up. It's, hey, we're going to waive our appraisal up to, and then you could set a dollar amount of how much you would go over.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so we'll up to $10,000 over what we were paying, or
Yeah.
et cetera, or under what
Yeah.
we were paying. So,
Appraisal guarantee.
Appraisal guarantee, right?
That
There's-
Spencer, my son, had the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is, in our deal that I'm working with you guys, is the lender said, hey, no need. We think that house is going to be well worth it. So
sure.
there was
right.
no need for it. And we did the home inspection.
Oh,
but not,
gosh,
But
yeah.
not the appraisal.
Right. So I rarely, I say rarely, never is never good, but I rarely will ever say waive your inspection.
Right. Inspection.
Investors, maybe they don't mind too much because
Yeah.
they kind of understand what they're getting into, but don't waive your inspection. You can buy it as is, still have an inspection,
Still have an inspection.
still walk away, but not ask for repairs. But you don't want to waive the inspection if you're just a regular home buyer. It's
Please don't.
there's so many things.
You take
here.
one thing away from the neighborhood pulse. Take that away.
Take that away. That's right.
Please
Take
do
it away,
not.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, amen. Now, financing in 2020 was a lot different, right? So as you moved through the processes with many people, a lot of refis. Would you say? Do you handle more refis or more purchases the last year? Boy, that's tough.
I think
right?
in the beginning of the year it was mostly focused on refis.
Yeah.
And then now, maybe going from August moving forward, we've seen a 60 to 70% in purchase interest versus refinance.
Right.
People that are interested. So obviously a lot of low hanging fruit out there, right?
Sure.
What we've seen in as far as approvals and whatnot is maybe a few challenges around employment. Obviously, a few gaps if they were laid off or if they're working from home or they got hours adjusted based on, employer needs or whatnot. So those are some of the challenges that we're looking at. But again, more so later in the year with a lot of heavy purchase activity.
Right. So this was a busy year for everybody.
Absolutely.
And the best thing you can do, and this is across the globe, and that's why we go to the National Association of Realtors conventions and things like that, is to kind of get a gauge of, boy, Illinois is crazy. We got this going on. And finding out that, hey, that's the norm across the globe or across the United States is that prices are super high and
Right.
taxes are going up. And there's a frenzy and we're bidding over asking price and we're doing all this craziness, right? So there's a lot of that going on. The best thing you can do is get pre-approved. Talk to a lender, see what you can afford before you make that first call to your realtor, even, or click on Zillow.
Right.
You should be contacting the lender and saying, "Hey, Eddie, what can I afford realistically?" Right.
Today, right now, right.
So we can afford $400,000 mortgage.
Right.
As long as we don't eat and we don't get a flat tire and we don't have a babysitter, things like that, right? So when you talk to your lender, talk to them and figure out what is the typical range of, is it net or gross income typically?
Yeah, so we go with gross income.
Mm-hmm.
So before taxes,
Right. Is
before
that 28,
benefits and whatnot.
34?
For what?
So when you look at a gross income,
Yeah.
what percentage is considered good or considered acceptable to get qualified on?
Yeah, so we like to keep people at 45% or under for their debt to income.
That's income, right.
Okay. So 45%.
Some programs will allow us to go a little higher, but typically anything 40, 45, you're almost on the approval arena, give and take,
Yeah.
things clear.
Right.
But that's exactly the comfort level, not only for us, but for, everyone else out there.
Right.
Right.
Your housing percentage of that income shouldn't be over probably 30%, right?
30%,
so
yeah.
your house should be maximum 30% of your debt.
Yeah.
Maximum.
Right.
We like to see it more around 26,
That'd be good,
into
yeah.
20. But the max that you'd want to stretch that out is that 30%.
30%.
So,
That's
yeah.
a
Gary
good
asked
number.
a question. He says, "Hey, over in the United States, metropolitan and large urban cities, are they having lesser housing transactions compared to areas outside of them?"
I missed the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So he's saying, are people buying fewer things in the inner cities than they are in the suburban areas? So,
So
how's
they're moving out
how's
of
the
Chicago.
housing market?
Right,
Yeah.
they're
Are they
moving out of the
moving
main
out of the
areas,
cities? Right.
They're moving out of big areas.
We did see a report, and my memory doesn't serve me right from where that came from, but we did see that a lot of people are looking to move in the suburban areas, kind of getting away from the big cities. So those are areas that people are now probably don't mind the commute to get a little bit more peace and quiet. I don't know what's your take on that.
What we're seeing, and it's really a demographic, an age demographic thing. The buyers who are first time buyers in their mid to late 20s, early 30s do not mind the inner city at all. Matter of fact, are purchasing things pretty rapidly there. If you've got a family that are kids or school aged kids, and are you want to, they're moving out of the inner city. A lot of reasons, especially in the Chicagoland area, because of the COVID restrictions and things like that.
Right.
And for schooling and
Right.
things like that. My daughter and her, fiance are, they got a place, $2,000 a month, I think they're on the 6th floor,
Right, right.
And they're loving it, and they got 2 dogs, and I'm like, and they're big dogs. They got a husky and a black lab German Shepherd mix, right? And so they're
Right.
2 big dogs,
That's, yeah.
and in a beautiful place, but. Those dogs got to go outside. They got to take them down the elevator. They got,
Right, right. Oh,
Or
right.
down
so-
the chute. No.
Right. So it's interesting to me. A lot of investors are purchasing properties in the city. A lot of
Yes,
investors are
absolutely.
doing that
I
as
think
well.
you're right. The demographic is a little bit different. The media hyped up the some of the cities had some civil unrest,
Yes.
and I think that drove a few people.
Some
and
peaceful
stuff, and
protests.
peaceful protests, civil peaceful unrest, something like that. Something like that. I don't
That's
know.
right. Tune into Bridging Civil Tension.
That's right. You go. That's right. But yeah, there's definitely some movement all over. But there's homes being sold everywhere too at record prices.
Yeah.
So people are asking, what's 2022 hold, right? Time will tell, and over the next couple of weeks we'll be talking about that.
Right.
So make sure you tune in. That's not today's show, but that will be coming up.
Yeah.
Right. So 2022, I think, will be strong. The markets are supposed to continue well, right?
Yeah,
So we'll talk about that. So,
It's still a great time. Actually, it's probably the best time to get into the real estate industry, whether you want to be a realtor or a mortgage rep. And the reason why is it's not crazy right now. It's steady.
right.
And a lot of people are like, a lot of people wanted to get in when that tsunami was high. It's really the worst time because things do move fast, and there is a bit of a learning curve. But if you're looking at wanting to become an agent, Kevin, I know you're looking.
We're looking. It's we interview, and we don't accept everybody as buyers agents or to work with our office just because we have a certain standard we want to work with. Just kind of
Yeah.
like when we choose our lenders, like yourself,
Right.
and other lenders. We work with people that have a quality product. And if they don't, then we don't work with them. That's
Right.
just the way that goes.
Right.
Right.
Bottom line.
Or we don't recommend them. I mean, they can choose whoever they want.
Yeah.
Obviously,
line.
it's not our choice who you work with.
Absolutely.
But I know mortgages have been fantastic, and talking to your lender is the
Yeah.
best first step, right? And if I had a guy call me the other day, and this is a true story, he says I got to be on my house in 30 days. My credit score is about 350. What do you think I can afford, or do you think I can get a mortgage?
A
I said-
van down by the river.
I was like, absolutely not. You need to call. You
Right.
need to start looking at rentals. Let's get you set up
Yeah.
for a search for rentals. We'll get you into something like that. And call my lender or call a lender or credit repair to get that ball in motion.
Yep.
So I usually call Eddie here and say, hey, what do I need to do? And you can take a look at that and help him out a little bit, right? Give him a little bit of direction.
Oh, absolutely. There's things that can be done, phone numbers that, people that we can call, the bureaus as well. There could be something on their statement, misrepresented, something
Sure.
that should show closed that still showed active. We actually just had a case where, we're down to the wire for the closing, and there's still pending condition that should have cleared.
Right.
Clearly that was on, the credit report or their last lender for that item, but, we picked up the phone, we call, we provide the appropriate documents based on the situation, and we got that condition clear to have that credit reflect a different status, but at the same time, it's improving the FICO score, because now that obligation is showing as paid as it should versus
Right.
pending or late payments or what have you.
Right.
So
I
there's
think
still a
there's
lot that can be done.
I think there's a big misunderstanding out there from people too of what credit score they have to have in order to buy, right?
Right.
Some people are like, oh, I have to have 720, 750, and that's not the case. They can go
No.
much lower with that depending on their circumstances.
Right. I mean, there's people that obviously had a few struggles in the past, and now they're
Absolutely.
rebuilding. Everything else is paid off, but they're rebuilding. So obviously that takes time.
Right.
We have programs from various lenders where we can, start from a low 580 to 620 to 700, 720 and above. And obviously, the better the score, the better the deal as far as, what we can get you and provide for you. But at least there's a place for everyone. If you can't get the house of your dreams now, get yourself into a house now. Why do you want to rent if you have another
Right.
option to be a homeowner and then take the appropriate steps in life to better
Right.
that situation and then get you into something else? Call Kevin
That's
back
right.
and say, hey, I'm
That's
ready
right.
to sell my house. I need a new house.
That's right.
Who can do my loan?
Right. That's
Eddie
it.
Martinez.
And it's cheaper to call your lender than it is to call a credit repair company to get that initial ball rolling, just kind of see where you're at,
Oh, yeah.
right? And they'll give you the real deal. They'll run it, through different sources and such there as well, which is kind of cool. You don't
Well,
have to.
And what you have to understand too, folks, is you may not need 20% down, but this transaction is going to cost you money. There's
Yes.
appraisals, there's inspections,
Yep.
you may have to pay some things off, you may have to remediate some mold, then you may have to put in a new electric panel, you may have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like going and buying a car, right? Where I can go in there with no money at all
Right.
and walk out with a new car.
Yeah.
It is a process, and it does cost you money to do this transaction.
Yes.
And it's money that you have to have up front. It's money that you're going to need. So don't be surprised, or I guess be surprised at some really high numbers. But you always want to talk with somebody like Eddie to say, okay, what is this going to cost me? Don't ask about closing costs.
Right. Don't ask about rates. Talk about money.
Right. Let's talk about
What do I
money.
need?
And the reason is, don't. How much are the closing costs? Closing costs are minimal.
Right.
It's
Yep.
the additional costs that
Right.
that run things up.
That's true.
So on this particular transaction, what is it going to cost me?
Right.
Is a way to ask that question.
Right, absolutely. And it's if you hear an ad that says "buy a house now, no money down," run.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Trust me. Good luck.
It's going to cost you somewhere.
Yeah,
Maybe
you'll
up front.
you'll pay for
It'll
it.
be rough.
Not up
That's
front,
it.
but you're going to
That's
pay
it.
for it.
That's it.
Absolutely.
So I think today's takeaway is call a lender
Yep.
and get pre-qualified. That should be your first step, and find out what you can afford. And be safe. Make sure that you're ready to gear up, and when you go into somebody's home or when you're having somebody into your home, make sure you set those expectations with your realtor, and make sure that they're maintaining that.
Right.
And
Well, and that it's that right now, 22 days before Christmas, it is the right time to sell your home.
right,
You'll enjoy the Christmas at your home.
right,
The close won't happen until January sometime,
yeah,
or maybe even February, depending on
Sure.
how you write the contract. So you're going to enjoy the holidays at your current home. It's not that you're not going to be homeless. It's a great time to sell right now, and just start the new year off in a new place.
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, and I tell you, and now is the time to start looking at it, because the best market to sell in my opinion, again,
Yeah.
is the end of January, beginning of February. But right now, with the pandemic, any day is a good day to sell. There's
It
just
is not a
plenty
bad
of buyers
day.
out there.
Yeah.
Plenty of buyers.
That
That's
is
for
it.
sure.
So, Kevin, if somebody wants to list a house, if they want to buy a house, if they want to work in real estate, how do they get in touch with you?
You know what? They're going to give us a call at 815-321-4250 or email us at callkevink@gmail.com. Eddie.
Eddie Martinez, McHenry Savings Bank, phone number 815-331-6428, or you can reach me at emartinez@mchenrysavings.com, and then my last number 437-138.
Rock and roll, brother.
This has been the Neighborhood Pulse. Remember, no matter where you are in life, you always remember the neighborhood. Everybody, come back at 3 Central for In the Know with Steph and Joe, which are rounding out an exciting Friday here, 21/6 The Net.
Go Friday.
Enjoy the weekend, enjoy each other, and remember, wherever you are, you never forget the neighborhood.
That's true. Amen, brother. Great show, guys.